Давай. Eu vou procurar. Redmi, Redmi, c'est Redmi.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So if you can hear me, please can you just on the chat group just give me a thumbs up or just let me know you can hear me. Just can we just state in the chat group? I can hear you, you loud and clear. You can hear me. Good evening, professionals in HR. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the day two of this esteemed workshop, this wonderful moments to learn, unlearn, and relearn, or learn, and relearn. So it's a time again for us to just enjoy what the HR system is about. Thank you so much. I can see that. Good evening, Chukwemeka. Yes, good evening, Daddy Danny. Good evening. Okay, so you want my volume increased? Okay, you can see that. Okay, I hear you clearly. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yes. Thank you for the great response. Thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me better now. Okay, fantastic. Yes, good evening. Thank you. Good evening, Latif Ajani. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello, Victoria. See you. Good evening. Thank you. So while we're waiting for others to just come in, as we engage, yes, good evening. Good evening, everyone. So yesterday we started this wonderful time together, and I just want you in some few minutes, I want you to put on the chat box one thing that you went home with yesterday, one thing that you went home with yesterday, and just in case you were not here yesterday, so that at least every other person who was not here yesterday can get something from you. So please, all just can you quickly one thing? Okay, volume is somewhat low. Okay, okay, I see that. So let me see how I can get right on that. And so if you can hear me better, just say yes, I hear you better. I hear you better. So for those of us complaining about volume, I want to be sure that it is better now. Okay, volume is okay. Okay, I hear you better. I hear you better. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good evening. My name is Adetayo. I'll be your moderator for tonight. Most times, most people call me HR. I'm the in-house HR for CIHRM. Yes, thank you. Yes. Oh, fantastic. Morolake said, fairness isn't always sameness. So I just asked us, so while we're doing this and we're waiting for people to come in, I just want us to quickly I want you to drop something that you learned yesterday, just a phrase that you learned yesterday. So I'm just going to, so that those people who are not here can just, glean from here. DIH, teamwork in an organization. Fantastic. That's from Chia Deku. Chia De Michael. Let me just use Michael. Michael, yes. Yes, Aliu says, I'm able to work with different people from different cultures, from different community. Fantastic. Okochi says we need to be very careful about unconscious bias because it affects DEI. Fantastic. So good evening. Diversity is a workforce strength. Wonderful. So I want you to please drop, as you're coming in, just drop something you learned yesterday so that everyone that was not here yesterday can glean from it. They know what they missed. I learned that anything that cannot be anything they cannot explain, they complain. Yes, anything they cannot explain, they complain. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes. Sarah says equity is the recognition of the unique needs of people and making provisions to accommodate those unique needs. Yes. Yeah, that is to say, I learned fairness to all. Fairness to all. Yesterday's diversity, equity, and inclusion is vitality. Is vital in all fronts of an organization, most especially unconscious bias. That's by Kelvin. Wonderful. Wonderful. Adebisi says, I learned avoid stereotypes. Avoid stereotypes. Bello Victoria, no discrimination while carrying out our daily task in the office environment. Wonderful. Wonderful. So fairness is key. He says equity is not the same as equality in DEI. Yes, yes. Wonderful. It means that we learned a lot yesterday. So I love the fact that we're able to put the things that we learned into the chat box. That's good. That's good. Sorry, please, if you are not speaking, please can you just come up and mute your mic so that we can all have a great time together. Thank you all. Please just mute your mic. As you come in, just check and make sure you mute your mic. While we're looking at what we learned yesterday, we're dropping them in the chat box. We're going to start soon. We just want people to come up. You understand? We want people to come up and then. So while we're doing that, we're just looking at what we learned yesterday. So please, whatever it is, if you were here yesterday, just drop it in a comment. If you are just joining us, good evening. Welcome to day 2 of this wonderful, wonderful session of workshop with CIHRM. It's good to have you all here. It's good to have you all here. Yesterday, we had a session with Mr. Emmanuel Fejoma. So we're just dropping in the session the things that we learned. So if you were not here yesterday, just come into the chat box. You will see the things that we learned there. Yes, Doris says DEI is an organizational framework designed to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly those who have historically been underrepresented, or marginalized based on identity, background, or disability. This is good. Thank you for that, Doris. That is a good capture. That is a good capture. Yes, Dr. Otun says an organization that embraces DEI, I think it means benefits from broader perspectives, improves creativity and innovation, stronger teamwork, and better decision making. DEI is the bedrock for organization growth and employee identity. Wow. I'm loving this. It's so, so good. So let's look at it. Okay, so we have 169 people on this call already. Let's just, in the next 2 minutes, we're going to start and we're going to introduce our speaker for today. We are going to get into it right away so that we don't waste time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say welcome once again to the day 2 of our workshop. Please, many people said they had issues with attendance yesterday. So please, the tech team, please help us out with it today so that we can have people sign in and then fill the attendance so that we can have them fill the attendance. Okay, so as we're going to kick off today, I'm going to introduce to us our esteemed speaker who is going to be teaching and walking us through today's topic. Okay, so fantastic. I love the way the way we are attending to this is good today. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. So please, ground rules. If you're not speaking, come in and mute your mic. If you want to speak, I think there's a point where you can raise your hands, then the speaker can get you in. So introducing our speaker for today, just a brief profile. Dr. Zainab Obaro is a seasoned human resource and administrative professional with so many years of progressive experience spanning strategic human resource management, organizational development, workforce transformation, and corporate administration across diverse industries. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in history and international relations from the Redeemers University, Nigeria, and postgraduate degree in human resource management from the prestigious Plymouth University, United Kingdom. Dr. Obaro is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, CIHRM. She's an FCHRM, a Chartered Human Resource Practitioner certified by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and a fellow of the Institute of Professional Managers and Administrators of Nigeria. She's also a doctoral research fellow in public admin with the Chartered Institute of Public Administration and Governance, Colorado, USA. Now, over the course of her career, she has built a strong reputation as a strategic HR leader with extensive expertise in employee relations, organizational restructuring, HR compliance, performance management, policy and handbook development, compensations and benefit administrations, payrolls, management learning and development, talent acquisition, employee engagement, leadership, and support workforce planning. A professional experience cuts across multiple sectors, including the banking industry, power, electric, both locally and internationally, manufacturing, media, technology industry. Shows she's well-rounded. Dr. Obaro is recognized for her ability to align human capital strategy with business objectives, improve organizational structure, build high-performance team, and implement sustainable people management solutions that enhance productivity and business growth. So, in addition to her corporate accomplishments, she's deeply passionate about leadership development, youth empowerment, women inclusion. Dr. Zainab Obaro continues to distinguish herself as a transformational leader committed to professional excellence, strategic workforce development, and impactful organizational leader. Join me, distinguished professionals, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome to speak to us today on the topic
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. It's my pleasure to be on the call today, leading this session. A very big thank you to my colleague who has done a fantastic introduction about me and about my background. Thank you all so much. And to my fellow human resource professionals who are on this call this evening, we all know that this call and this training session we're going to be speaking, and interacting. I want this to be more of an interaction session than just going through slides. I want it to be more of, sorry, excuse me, I just want to share my slides. And if you can see my screen, when that is up, let me know. Can everyone see my screen? If you can see my screen, please give a thumbs up. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, ma. The
Okay,
thumbs
all
up
right.
button, please.
All right, thank you very much. So, like I said, today the main topic for this session is we're speaking about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. And, for me, I want this to be more of an interactive section. Yes, we'll go through the slides, but, I want us to also share, real life experiences, and in general, speak about how diversity, equity, and inclusion has affected organizations, not only, for those who have experience here in Nigeria, but for also those who have, experience working abroad. And when we talk about diversity and inclusion, right? When we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, obviously we want to be speaking more about empowering organizations to cultivate a psychologically safe environment that also fosters exceptional innovation and drive high performance through authentic strategic inclusion. I want you to pay emphasis to the word that says drive high performance and also through authentic strategic inclusion. The truth is that when it comes to diversity and equity in the workplace, these things have to be intentional. We're in a world where most organizations they always speak about wanting to be global standards and best practice, but the question is, are they really of global standard? Do they practice the trends that would make them on that level? So welcome to today's interactive training section. Our collective objectivity is to move beyond just passive compliance checklist and deeply understand how a thoughtful integrated DIE strategy directly affects everyday's operational effectiveness, product innovation, and also psychological safety. Psychological safety in an organization is one topic that I would say is deeply, undermined in most organizations, especially here in Nigeria, because for an employee to be a high performing employee, for an employee to be a valuable employee, the employee has to have psychological safety. You have to be sound, right? People wake up, people go to work every day. Some people are just going to work to just tick register. Some people are going to work just to mark attendance, just to get paid. There's lack of psychological safety. They don't have HRs who are passionate about their mental health and their well-being. Most times you just see that organizations are just about, coming to work, working and getting paid. They don't care about the struggles that employees face, even the hassles of just getting to work on a daily basis. All those kind of things are very, very important. And in the system, in the world where we are now, we have a lot of Gen Zs, right? Even the millennials, people want to work in a place where they feel safe. They want to work in a place where they are included. They want to work in a place where they feel like diversity is a major part of that organization. And before we, go forward, I would just, like to just discuss about what diversity means in the workplace. I know that you had a very long session with my colleague Emmanuel yesterday, and he's explained most of these things. But for me, I said I would really want this to be an interactive session. Please, if you have any questions at any point in time, you can raise up your hands, and then we'll take that. So diversity includes all the unique characteristics, perspectives, and experience that make us distinct. And this goes far beyond just visible categories like age, gender, and race. It goes beyond just your background, your operational expertise, and we now have to look at it from the organizational part on a more strategic level. Why is it important to have a diverse workforce? I'll give you an example, right? You want to be in an organization where you see people who also, they don't have to physically look like you, but it'll be hard. Let me give an example. It'll be hard if you're in a company, right, for instance, and out of everyone in the company, let's say they're all filled with black people and you're the only white person there. No matter how intelligent you are, no matter how strong you are as a person, you may feel a bit disconnected because you haven't really seen someone that looks like you. So we're speaking about um, gender now, we're speaking about race, or imagine being in an organization where it's filled up with 200 men and you're the only female, or they're just two females. We're all human beings. We all have, emotions. We all, one way or the other, we like to be around people who, we can get support from. So when there is no diversity in a workplace, right? This can, make employees feel less of themselves. It can lead to decreased productivity. It can make people in their shell, and really not want to come out. But if we're talking about an organization that has and that prioritizes diversity, you see a lot of productivity in such organizations. And another advantage is that it also gives let's look at recruitment, for example. An organization that values age, that values culture, that don't discriminate, whether you're Hausa, whether you're Igbo, whether you're Yoruba, they have a diverse culture, right? It also helps their HR team, even in terms of recruitment, because there's a diverse talent pool, to pick from. When you don't limit yourself to just a particular tribe, when you don't limit yourself to just a particular tribe or a particular age or a particular race, the most important thing is that you are hiring based on skill and based on the necessity that is needed for that job, right? And then we also speak about increased employee engagement. Employer engagement is something that will thrive very well when there is diversity in the workplace. So we move to equity. Equity is really just about fairness, right? It's about equal opportunities, not being too rigid in the workplace, treating everyone irrespective of their age, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of where they're from, treating them with equal respect and ensuring that they have need to succeed on their job in the organization. And then in terms of inclusion, inclusion, this is, very active every day in terms of the practice in organizations. When they feel respected, when they feel like they're included in an organization, whether it's still the same thing, whether their age, whether their level in the organization, whether their role in the organization, regardless of their background, when they feel like they have a voice in the organization, when they feel like they're included, this also, helps the organization to achieve a lot of their set goals and objectives. And, in terms of even the employer brand, when you have the DEI, policies in your organization, and these are things that are known, right? It helps your employer brand. Everyone wants to be in a company where they are heard. Everyone wants to be in a company where they don't feel discriminated, right? Everyone wants to feel like they belong, and when we have organizations that are taking this very seriously, it helps in transforming the corporate culture, from moral obligation to an essential engine for organizational performance and even for commercial growth, right? Because I said I want this to be a very interactive section, at this point, does anyone have any questions or contributions they would like to make before I go ahead? If you do, please just raise your hands up so that we can take that very quickly before we proceed. Do we have any questions? Okay, the floor is open. If you have questions, please ask. And if you don't, then we can just go ahead. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the market's outperformance, right? Diversity and diverse and inclusive organizations consistently secure new regional markets and outperform homogeneous competitor structures. And then if we look at the expanded innovation, harnessing cognitive diversity creates rapid development. It gives you a smarter way of solving problems, in your organization, and it also helps in a broader customer-centric perspective. We're speaking about trusted, elevates trust, right? Cultures that company cultures that encourage diversity and inclusion, are centered around equity and psychological safety. Psychological safety in organization is extremely important, and this definitely leads to high performing team within an organization. Okay, so let's take a look at this part that says the quantitative edge. This is the data that was gotten from McKinsey. Matters even more. Reports establish that executive teams in organizations for ethnicity and cultural diversity are 39% more likely to outperform competitors financially. And then additionally, Clover Pop studies indicates that the diverse team makes better, faster business decision. It's 7% of them from time to time, in an organization. So when you have a diverse team, their thinking is different. They're able to, sorry, hold on. Basi is raising up their hand. Okay, Basi, please go ahead. Basi, you were raising up your hand. Do you want to speak?
It's good evening, everybody. I dropped a question on the group chat. I don't know if that's more convenient.
Okay, let me look.
And should I go ahead and just ask
Yes,
verbally?
please go. Yes, please go ahead and ask.
Thank you very much for the lecture. So we're talking about inequalities. My question is, how else do you handle other inequalities? For instance, for gender, it's quite straightforward. You can always employ more of the other gender so that it can be that balance. But how about other differences like religious, mental, and all others?
Sorry, take that question again. You were breaking for a bit, so I didn't really hear you.
Okay, I said, how do we handle the inequalities, other aspects of inequalities in the workplace?
Okay, all right.
Or gender inequality. Okay, please go ahead.
No, finish. Sorry, you were saying for gender inequality.
I said for gender inequality, it's quite easy. We just employ more of the minority gender. Okay, but how about others? Talking about religious or mental or physical, as the case may be.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I think this is where we spoke about the HR of the organization. And it's not just HR, right? It has to be from top management. When you have your policies covered in your company, when everyone who you're bringing into the company, when your HR team knows how keen the organization is about diversity and inclusion, right? Then it will be very easy to solve this problem. You know that you are not limiting certain roles. For instance, during hiring, you're not limiting certain roles to you only want a female in this position, or you only want a male. Let's even take it down to during recruitment and hiring, the job adverts that are being posted, right? Sometimes you see some job adverts on LinkedIn. They will write it there specifically. They will say only females wanted or only males wanted. That's not really good for employer brand. Even if as a company deep inside you, you know that, okay, you would rather maybe prefer a female for this role than a male, it shouldn't be something that you intentionally post out there, because people on the outside will not look at it this way. So I feel like the most important thing is ensuring that your policies in your organization are covered. HR has to ensure that they're doing their policy sensitization repeatedly. Everyone needs to understand, down from the starting from the top management to the bottom management. So by the time this has been this is being made a culture in the organization, I think that it would solve most of the issues, apart from even being gender bias and the other parts that you've said. When everyone knows that, oh, you're coming to an organization, right? Your employer brand is already out there, says, oh, they don't discriminate. You understand? Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're a traditionalist, the most important thing is that you know your onions, you know what you're coming to the organization to do. You have the skills and the experience. So I think it really starts with the top management and the HR, and making diversity, inclusion and equity a culture. Once it's been established as a culture within your organization, I think every other thing will fall in place.
Yeah, I think they're dominating in position.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. I can also see that DSK is raising their hands. DSK, please, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So far, so good. Thank you for this lecture so far. So please, I just have a question. We're talking about inclusion here. It's a good thing to include or to carry everyone along in an organization so that the organization can move forward. But please, at what point do we now draw the line? Because some people, give them 1 mile, they will take 10 miles. Yes, we're trying to also seek their opinion, because the fact that you are at the top doesn't necessarily mean you know it all. I've working with people, I've realized that some junior staff actually have they're very knowledgeable, and most times when they make suggestions, they prefer solutions in an organization. So, and then sometimes when they make suggestion and you don't listen to, or you don't accept their suggestion, then they tend to get angry. So at what point do we draw the line? Do we let them know that, okay, yes, thank you very much, you've made a very good suggestion, but we cannot take your suggestion? Or how else do we draw the line so that these people don't get angry when you don't follow what they suggest? I don't know if you understand my question, ma'am.
Yeah, I understand your question. It's quite tricky, but the truth is that I believe, like in organizations, right, most people we don't hire minors, right? I'm sure everyone is from like 18 and above, right? But the most important thing as a leader is when you are already a leader who listens to your employees, when you're already a leader who gives them equal opportunity, they know that sometimes it will be a no. I'm someone who, in every organization that I work, right, I make sure that I'm not just a transactional leader, but a transformational leader. I start with myself. I always use myself as an example. And I tell them, I tell my HR team, I said, yes, there are a lot of times that we will get a no from management. And there are also a lot of times we will get a yes. You can't always eat your cake and have it. Yes, you might feel like your idea, is very good. There are times where your idea will be taken, and there are times where at that moment, it may not necessarily be what the organization needs. So I think it just depends on how you're able to communicate with your team. I think it depends more on the relationship that you have with your team, right? Even in our homes, right? We have children. There are times where our children ask, oh, mommy, I want sweet, you give them today. They come back tomorrow, mommy, I want sweet, you give them tomorrow. And then next tomorrow, they come back again. There are times where you should be able to say, okay, you had sweets yesterday, but unfortunately, I won't be able to give you today. So I think it's the subtle way that you're able to pass this message across to them, just letting them know that you appreciate their contribution, you think that their contribution makes sense, but at this time, management has decided to move on, with something else that we feel was better for the company at this time. So I think it's just the way you pass the message across to them that matters. I don't know if someone has anything to add different from what I've just said. Okay, I can see Acro is raising up his hand. Acro, do you want to go ahead? Was I able to answer your question, please? Okay, Acro, M and E, do you want to go ahead?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Okay, good evening. Please be audible. We can't really hear you.
Okay, is it better now?
Okay, yes, it's better.
All right, thank you. So good evening once again. So for the question she asked, I just want to make a quick contribution. I think that's where the role of emotional intelligence comes in. As a leader, you have to be
Exactly.
emotionally intelligent. There's a way to say no, and then your no doesn't hit hard like a rejection. So it is very good as managers for you to be able to you listen. First of all, you listen to these people, you take their ideas. Even if you're going to say no, it is maybe not in a general meeting where that person is going to feel rejected. You can then call that person some other time and explain why we cannot move forward with this idea, how this person can make better contributions next time, or what you can do to modify the person's idea to make it seem like we're still taking something from you, but we're not going to move on it with entirely what you're saying. I think that's going to help. I understand where she's coming from, but I
Yeah.
think the way you go about the rejection is how is what matters. Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely right, which was, what I said as well. Um, which was what I said as well, how you pass your message across really, really goes a long way. And the most important thing is, being that leader who always has your team's back. When you're someone who always stands up and about for your team, when you tell them a no, for you to be able to say no, or management isn't going ahead with our proposal at this point, they already know that for our boss to say this, she has fought tooth and nail, regarding what we have requested for. So I think that's the main thing. Beauty, you're raising up your hands. Do you want to go ahead? Beauty, Beauty. Okay, Dr. Otun Isiaka, you were raising up your hands. Please, you can go ahead. You have the floor. Or
It's Beauty. Can I go ahead?
okay, yes, please, Beauty, you can go ahead.
So, good evening, everyone. It's just based on what the lady said. So, most of us observed such in our organization. So, I'm going to give a scenario of what happened last week in my workplace. So, one of the head of department who reports to a manager had reported the manager to me because he is making things difficult for them. So I had to go and meet the management to discuss it. If they are, and I gave like a way out, my suggestions on what we could do to get this particular manager not to be in charge of this particular team again, even if he's still a manager and other things. Based on I've seen one or two, not because I'm being biased, but because it's all any department I fix this particular manager, there is always a problem of the way he communicates or talks to employees. And as a result, I have to go to the management and talk to them. And the manager, the MD had to tell me that he is the chosen one. How do I communicate this to the HOD of that department who had reported this to, who had these issues with the manager in his ways of communication, and that the MD in question said the manager is the choosing one. So how do I communicate that? And then there see errors in that thing in the department and no changes at occur, but from the MD, that is the choosing one. So how do I communicate that? And how do I also make sure that that error is being corrected in that department?
Okay, so at a point you were going in and out, but from what I got you say, right, the MD had said the manager was the chosen one. To be honest, you were breaking quite a lot. Was it the MD who said the manager was the chosen one and then dismissed the suggestion of the junior employee? Beauty, can you hear me? Beauty, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. It's actually the MD who had said that particular manager is the choosing one.
The particular manager was the chosen one to do what? Because I couldn't
According
really.
to him. Okay, so now
Okay,
I'm
you
saying
do you know
that.
what you do? Do you know what you can do for me, Beauty? I don't know if you can put that
Okay,
in the comment section. I will read it after and then respond so that I
okay,
can go ahead with the training slides.
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the talent pool, right now, right in where we are today. I'd mentioned earlier about the Gen Zs, and then I've also spoken about the millennials, right? Right now, the Gen Zs, form and the millennials form a large part of our workforce, and these people, they are people who don't take things lightly. They want to ensure that they are joining an organization that is respectful. They want to, whether they're young or they're not young, they are people who are very outspoken, right? So when they're going for like interviews, so when they're searching for companies, to join, they look out for. And then we're coming back to the same thing, speaking about your employer brand, right? When an organization has a very strong policy regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, it doesn't just end within the organization. You'll be surprised how far things like this travel, right? There was a time in my career I wanted to join an organization, and I was just speaking with my friends to say that, I got invited for an interview in this company, and I'd mentioned the company's name. And immediately one of my friends, you know what she said? I mean, everyone on this call, you can see that, I'm a bit on the plus side, right? And the next thing she just said was that, you want to go for an interview in that company, just know you'll be discriminated, Sha. The MD doesn't like fat people. And I was like, what? When she said that, so I had to go back and do my own research, right, regarding that statement that she had said. I wanted to see a few people, who were working in the organization who I knew, right? And I'd reached out to, I think by the time I checked LinkedIn, I saw like 2 people who were, also following me on LinkedIn that we had conversations, in the line of my career. And I reached out to them to say, I just want to ask, right? I got this information, I don't know how true it is, And immediately I mentioned it, they just said the same thing. They said, yeah, so they don't like fat people in this organization. For me, I didn't even bother going for the interview, right? So what I'm trying to say is that you don't know how fast things spread. And unknowingly, things may affect your employer brand that was not even intentional, right? It may not be that the MD has come out physically to say it with his mouth that I don't like fat people or I don't want to work with fat people. Maybe because, some people would feel like people that are on the big side, maybe they are not as agile as others, or maybe they're not as fast as others, but people differ, right? It's people are not the same, so just based on that, I didn't go for that interview. And for me, that was that had already zeroed my mind about that type of company. Do you understand? So this example that I gave, I don't know if any of you have experienced bias, in your workplace, whether because of your gender, whether because of your age. If you have, can you just raise your hands? Is this something that you think that is common in Nigeria? Let's not even talk about size. Let's talk about age. Let's talk about gender. I feel like Nigeria is also a place where gender equality needs to be paid more attention to, right? There are sometimes, as females, you want to go for some positions and they'll tell you, oh, you're a woman, you can't do this, you can't do that. Has anyone ever faced that kind of bias? Or you've joined a company and maybe on the management team, you seem to be the youngest and you're a female, and you just get that energy and that aura, like, oh, who is this one? Where's she coming from? You can't do it. The most important thing is, for me, this is being directed to our HR professionals, right? If you're HR in any organization, you are the voice of the people. You are the one that is the middleman between management and employees. And the most important thing is to make sure that you have the back of your employees. One thing people fail to realize is that HR, you're also an employee. So realistically, whatever policy you put in place in your organization, you're also affected by that policy. Do we all agree that the same policy that affects every other employee is the same policy that affects HR? Your HR doesn't have a different handbook. HR doesn't have different policies. It is the same policy in the organization that affects HR. And that's what I always tell people when people say, oh, this. And I tell them, I'm also an employee, so making sure that you set the right tone in your organization, making sure that your policies are on the same level as global best practice and standard. You can't do less. It's your duty and your responsibility as HR to ensure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is inculcated in the culture of your organization. If you don't have that in your organization and you are HR there, you failed, though. You failed, not even in the era that we are in the world today. So please, these are areas where if before this call, you didn't really have that in your organization, this is a time where you should go back to the drawing board, and ensure that these things are being included in the policies of your organization. Once the policy is intact, every other thing will just gradually, follow. I heard when someone was speaking yesterday regarding Mr. Emmanuel, who had taken the course previously, and there are different types of bias that happen in the workplace that you will not even know, right? Biases are fast mental shortcuts. There are some that you will not even know that is a bias, right? Unconsciously, people may just say some things and they don't even know that what they have said has made someone feel a certain type of way, or that has made the person feel like they are not part of the organization. It may be during an interview, it may be during an open communication. So as HR, as leaders in an organization, it is also very, very important that we are conscious of how we speak, how we treat people. We have to ensure that we try to mitigate this bias so that people do not feel a certain type of way in the organization. Because when people start to feel that way, it affects productivity. There's the psychological part, there's the transparent system part. Okay, if we look at psychological safety, a climate where individuals feel entirely safe to voice alternative perspective and ask questions, flag issues, admit mistakes without fear. I like that word, without fear. And I always tell people, like, as a manager, as a head of department, as management, you should never be afraid to accept when you're wrong. You should never be afraid to say, I'm sorry, right? You should make people feel safe. As HR, open door policies are very important. You go to some organizations, HR office is like out of bound. You can't be HR and your office is out of bound. It's not that's not the right way. Employees should be able to feel free to walk into HR's office, to speak to HR, to tell HR their problems. People are struggling. Let's talk about Nigeria of today. People are struggling. People are going through a lot. I've seen situations, where I'm someone who likes to be very connected to my team, not just my team, even, people in other departments, right? Walk around, go around. When you see an employee who is a top performer and all of a sudden there's a decline, right? You want to ask questions. Are you okay? Are you going through anything that you would like to share? Whether as HR or as a line manager, it might be that something happened even within the workplace. It might have been a simple way that a line manager or a HOD or a colleague had spoken to the employee and made the person, just draw back. These are areas that also affect productivity. It might not have been intentional, but it would have been a way of excluding the person, and that's where inclusion comes in, right? Ensuring that everybody has a voice, whether you're a senior manager or you're a junior manager or you're an officer, Everybody needs to have a voice. You also want to operate a transparent system, building a fully accessible path, for metrics within the organization, data, career progression, hiring. You don't want to employees to feel like, oh, there are things that the management is hiding. They don't want them to know, right? You have to be able to allow people give feedbacks. As HR, as leaders, do surveys regularly. Feel the pulse of your people, right? When you make them know that you listen, it also gives them a sense of belonging. That is where inclusion comes in. So ensure that your employees feel psychologically safe. Ensure that there's a transparent system, right? Ensure that, in terms of subconscious barriers, these things are being eliminated. Let's talk about subconscious barrier, for instance. A brief, common, everyday, slight insult that communicates hostility, derogatory, or negative message towards employees. It may be that, some people are just used to maybe telling someone, oh, you are silly, or just telling someone, oh, why did you wear this today? Just little things like that at the workplace. It might not be intentional, but gradually these things build, right? And you just see that people start to shield, people start to complain about the employee culture, the organizational culture, especially when HR is not addressing these issues, especially when employees, bring up areas that has affected them in one way or the other, and HR does not address those issues. In my line of career, I've seen when employees will come and tell me, HR, I don't like the way my line manager addresses me, or I don't like the way my line manager speaks to me. As HR, it's your responsibility, to try and be a middle ground between them. You must know how to address such situations. You don't just sweep that situation under the carpet, right? The employee has brought, sorry, excuse me. The employee has brought that, sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to, okay, yes, thank you. The employee has brought that to your notice for a reason. So it's important that you address those issues, because when you don't address it, gradually it starts to build. It starts to build gradually, and before you know it, those are things that affect your the culture. Those are things that will end up affecting the culture in the organization. So I don't know if anyone has any contribution to make to this before we move on to the next thing on the slide. Do you want to give any, do you want to add anything to what I have said regarding, subconscious barriers, and then also ways we can eradicate it from the workplace as HR or whether as a leader in your organization? Please feel free to take the floor. Is anyone speaking? Okay, Rose Daboro, please go ahead. Rose, can you hear me? Okay, if Rose can't hear me, there are some other people raising up their hands. Do you want to go ahead? Okay, we can hear you now, Rose.
All right,
Please go
good
ahead.
evening. All right, especially
Good evening.
my question is especially when it has to do with the private sector, it's easier with the, I think so, that's what I feel. It's easier with the development sector or the public sector. But in the private sector, especially when it's a one-man business, that's how I put it. What if the toxicity or biasness Oh, yeah, toxicity, I would prefer to put it like that. It's coming from the top management, and there is no room for whoever to talk. We know that in the private sector, most organizations don't really give the HR opportunity to perform at their maximum. What do you advise in such situation?
Okay. So what you've said is not wrong in any way, right? For someone who has touched the different sectors of organizations in Nigeria, I can tell you for sure that yes, at some time you will find challenges like this. But the most important thing is you're a HR professional for a reason. Once you know your onions, you can't be intimidated. I think it's also a personality thing, as HR, how you position yourself to the management of your organization is also also has a bit of influence on how they will take you. If they know that this person is someone who is very keen on his or her HR profession, they know that you're someone who you don't play when it comes to policy. I mean, they hired you for a reason. They hired you, to come and put certain things in place. I would just say that just keep doing what you're doing. Ensure that whatever you're doing does not affect you as a person and does not affect your HR career. So you have a name to protect, right? You don't want a situation where, for instance, you are in an organization where you know that, I'm trying to look for the right example to give, right? Okay, let's say an organization you know that always deducts employee salaries, for whatever reason that they want, that they deem fit. I've worked in, for instance, Chinese companies, for instance, you work there, they'll just come and tell you, oh, deduct this one salary, deduct that one salary. If you're a HR person and you cannot speak back to say, no, this is wrong, according to labor law, you are not allowed to deduct an employee salary for so and so reason, right? You must be able to convince them. And in areas where you cannot convince them, I would personally, my own personal advice is I don't stay in such an organization because my name is very important to protect. I did not get to being HR by just playing. I went to school for it. I got certified for it. So my certification is also important for me to protect. So if you find yourself in an organization where they advise that you exit such organization, if after you have given them your advice, if after you have organization, because you have a name to protect and you don't want your name, to be dragged in things like that, So I don't know if anyone has any other advice to give as regards, what she asked. Rose, do you think I answered your question properly? Integrity is key. As HR, integrity is key. Integrity is key. There are things that I wouldn't compromise on. I wouldn't just compromise on.
Yes,
Rose,
I agree with you. Thank you. Thank
all
you.
right. All right. Thank you very much. I can see some other people raising up their hands. Please go ahead and speak. You have the floor. At least for the next 3 minutes, you have the floor. Please go ahead and speak. Is there any other person who wants to speak, or we should proceed? Okay, so I think we should proceed. So this slide, we're going to be speaking about. Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Cornelia.
Good evening, Cornelia.
Zainab, I so much enjoy you. It's like I'm supposed to sit beside you, honestly speaking, because you're speaking my mind. And even this last person that you responded, you can't be an HR and you don't have a responsibility of protecting people that you said you are coming to speak on behalf. You need to speak out, no matter the country where we find ourselves, that speaking out is an abomination. For you to protect your responsibility, because leadership is all about responsibility. So you speak out and protect that mind. I am not in HR, but I am a line manager. I joined this organization because I see certain things that they are doing and I love it. It shaped my mind ever since I came in here. And our facilitators have been doing wonderful. I follow them on LinkedIn, and I'm in a wide financial organization, but I choose to be a line manager rather than an HR, because most of the things we do speaks to HR. Like you say, you touch my emotions when you were talking, actually. And I want to ask just one question has been bothering me. And this is
Please go ahead.
about my subordinate. As a line manager, when you've done all you could, I mean, sometimes you give a kind of giveaway just to make people laugh. Sometimes you release yourself for someone to come in. You make open door policy for someone to come in. Yet, you still find some people that will, within the organization, be chatting, have a group among themselves, trying to group up people among themselves and to show. They will not tell you that there's a displeasure. They see you're doing well, but some of them will, I think, a kind of stereotype, you know. So how do you handle this situation?
Okay, so you see that I was putting my ear very close to the system because I'm struggling to hear you. I don't know if every other person had the same problem with me. Did you hear her question very clearly?
Can I recap?
Okay, yes, you can. You can recap, and then you can also drop it in the comment section as well.
Yeah, a situation where you're a line manager and your subordinate, you happen to see some of them having groups. No matter what you do, they want you out. They don't want you there. No matter how you put a smile on their faces, in your own personal way, you go out of your way, not organization, to make them happy. They'll just be happy at that moment. It's a very wide organization. But at a point, the person will have a group forming against you.
Okay.
How do you handle them?
Okay. So, for me, very, very important. As a leader, you must be able to set the tone for your departments. There are things that is a no-brainer. From the beginning, you set your tone. As a leader, I mean, if you have a team and your team is having issues with respecting you, or for your team members to go and start forming groups behind you, they must just be, something that is not right. So you may not know, but I would say that, even in the workplace, as nice as you want to be, as supportive as you want to be, as a leader, there must also be a point where you set boundaries. I'm someone who I love to help everyone, all right? I love to help everyone. I'm that HR who, I mean, if you check places where I've worked, they will tell you Zainab, she's a fixer. Zainab wants to make sure that everyone is okay. But there are also times that you set boundaries. There are things that in your organization should be a no-no. What type of group are they forming? Toxicity is something that you don't want in your organization. When you notice some certain traits with some certain people that they're trying to bring a culture that is toxic, these are things that you have to break immediately, right? If you have done your investigation, if you have found your investigation that there is a certain group that is being formed for, one reason or the other, I don't see any reason why you cannot, set up a disciplinary committee. Your disciplinary committee, I'm sure you have policies for disciplinary committee. Only HR cannot sit on a disciplinary committee. There are other senior members of the organization that are on disciplinary committees, right? When it gets to that stage where, another thing is people always think that bullying in the workplace happens to only junior staff. Do you know that that's not correct? Do you know that there are senior staff who are also being bullied in the workplace? There are even management staffs who are also being bullied in the workplace. And what you just said is an example.
I know a director that resigned because of this.
Yeah. Exactly. So, for me, yes, it's something that has happened to me personally as well. When I mean personally, I'm not talking about my team now. I know I have a very good relationship with my team. My team members always see me as their protector. But, when it comes to personalities, people are different. There are people who are outspoken. There are people who, they fight for other people. There are people who are no-nonsense people. Unfortunately, some people won't like you, especially when you're someone who stands for the truth always. You will just have people who will not like you. As HR, we know the struggle we go through, right? Whether you're fighting for the employees or you're fighting for the management, some people will not just like you because you are HR. So this doesn't happen to only junior staff. It even happens with, senior management. For me, the most important thing is be strong, be bold, never be intimidated, no matter what the situation is. And if it gets to a time where you have to take disciplinary measures, whether you think it will make you look good or it will make you look bad, the most important thing is to follow your heart in doing the right thing. And you want to make sure that a toxic culture is eradicated from your company completely. Don't allow toxicity. Very, very important, because once you allow it, it spreads like a wildfire. And when it has gone far, it will be very hard to correct. So for me, when it has gotten to that situation, once you have your facts and once you have your evidence, set up a disciplinary panel. There's a reason why it's called a disciplinary panel for a reason. A disciplinary panel does not mean the employee will be terminated at the end of the day. The employee too can come there and defend himself or herself, right? So please don't take things like that lightly. No one is saying you should not be nice. You should be nice to everyone, help everyone, but also to set boundaries. Thank you very much. I hope I'm able to answer that question. I'll take one more question before we proceed with the slides.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, moderator.
Good evening. Good evening.
I really appreciate your affluence and your communication in regards to the subject matter. However, I want to throw a little bit of light in regards to the topic my colleague just reiterated previously. When it comes in terms of bullying in the office, like you said, it could be coming from the down or the upper sector. There's another thing to also look at as an HR personnel. I think first thing is your personality. When I mean your personality, every individual has a particular mindset and behavioral thoughts too. So sometimes it might not necessarily be coming from maybe the managerial aspect or the policy. It might be coming from the person themselves. And secondly, how you relate to people matters a lot. Sometimes as HR personnel, sometimes we believe we are above the radar. What do I mean? Sometimes we, like you said earlier, you shut the door, you make yourself not accessible to the people, and they tend to see you as an individual separated person from the company or the employee themselves. And in some cases, you tend to relate more with the higher managers and communicate to the higher managers. I'll give you some instances. When there are issues in a particular company and a junior staff comes to complain to you, you might want to be too formal by telling them, please communicate with your higher manager, and then they'll communicate to the management or thereabout. These things create biases, and then it creates for separation between staffs and all. Now, you mentioned about what's your policy, because your policy brings the company culture itself. Now, from what I've been able to see over the years I've been working, I understand that there are, except I'm wrong, there are no strict policy for saying you are not allowed to create XYZ group, because I believe these are individual things they want to do. Them, as long as they're not using the company's name, they could call it a frenzy group or all of that. There are even some company, in fact, that they have other groups that they don't have managers where they communicate among themselves. And in some other company, they have an all-inclusive group, especially if it's in a conglomerate where you have different departments and thereabouts. They will have the upper tiers, middle tiers in a particular group where they do social activities and all. So in that place, they can as well discuss and say one or two things. Yeah. So in this perspective, yeah, I feel the first thing is being accessible, being communicative, right? Because sometimes, and also we have disciplinarians. Some people don't know how to appear to disciplinarians, especially those that have low self-esteem. For example, as an HR person, you have to be psychologically inclined. What I mean is, look at the people around you, understand their level of reasoning, and manage them according to their reasoning. There is no one approach to everyone because we are all humans and we vary our levels of understanding. This matters a lot. So if you make yourself like not approachable, sometimes these issues can come up. I might not be able to give you the light of the day to be able to work effectively in that management. It starts with us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was very insightful. Just because of time, I will move on to the next slide, but I want to pick out something from what you said. An important thing, if you remember when I was speaking, an important thing that I said was, you have to have your facts. You cannot just judge based on they said or you heard. Until you have your facts, there is no case. Right? Until you have your facts, there's no case. And like I said, as a leader, as a manager in an organization, there are ways that you should be able to handle your subordinates. When it gets to a point where you are starting to feel that your subordinates are setting groups for you, like I said, it means that there's, something that just needs to be checked or needs to be worked on. But I'll say the same thing I said earlier on. Be accessible, make sure that you are someone who people can come to when they have issues, but also at a point, as a leader, as a manager, you have to draw some boundaries because we know ourselves as human beings, right? When some certain boundaries are not drawn, people will take advantage of it. That is fact, right? Whether we like it or not. So apply high emotional intelligence to however you treat your colleagues or you treat your subordinates, but understand certain things. So thank you. I would quickly move through the slides and then ensure that, we're able to cover everything. In terms of diversity, the DEI policy, right? We're speaking on the reasons why it is important, why every organization needs this policy, right? Yeah, so equal opportunity, zero tolerance standards. Like I said, you have to define certain things. Certain things in your policy has to be clear. The company does not tolerate bullying. The company does not tolerate sexual harassment. The company does not. I'll give an example as well. In a lot of organizations, in the organization where I work, for instance, you're not allowed to speak your native language in the office, right? I've had a situation where one in my past employer, one of the staffs had come to meet me to say she's a very brilliant lady. She was in the sales team, and I just noticed that there was a decline in her performance, right? And because I'm HR, so in my office, the CCTV team, also falls under my department, under the admin part. And I have the screen in my office. So sometimes I just, look at the screen and I'm able to see, what's going on in the organization. And because the sales team, most of the time, we know that sales team, their workspace is always an open space. So I could see their office, very clearly. And this is someone that, you can tell she's very active. She was in fact, she was the best salesperson in that department, right? But at a point in time, I just noticed that she was always, withdrawn. She was always looking sad at work, and everything. And then one day, I noticed that I didn't see her at work the first day. She didn't reach out to anyone to say, oh, I'm not coming to work. I asked her line manager. Her line manager just said they didn't hear from her. Then the second day, I got a message from her to say she wasn't feeling fine and she's going to be requesting for a sick leave. So I said, okay, she put in the sick leave, and then she also attached a doctor's report, and then she came back to work, maybe I think the fourth day or so. And then when she came back to work, I sent for her to my office. I wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with her. Remember, this is a junior staff. She was a sales officer, but very brilliant, always, exceeding expectations, And then I had that one-on-one call with her when she got back. I could tell something was wrong. And I told her, I said, I saw your doctor's reports, and your doctor's reports, part of what had been stated there was your blood pressure was slightly elevated. And I asked her, I said, what are you thinking that your blood pressure is elevated? Small, young girl like you, what's the problem? I know that you're someone who is very intelligent, tell me what's going on. And then she started to open up to me on certain things. She was having personal, issues at home, but she also was going through stuff in her departments. And you won't believe what it was. You would just think, oh, does someone have to feel this down of themselves? Apparently, in her department, for instance, if there were 5 in that department, out of those 5 people, she was the only. I don't want to mention the tribe, but for instance, let's say she was the only one who was an Indian person, and can you mute yourself? Okay, right. So for instance, let's use other tribes, right? So if there are 5 in the department, she was Indian, for instance, and the remaining 4 were Americans. So she started opening up to me that they are always speaking their language in the office. And sometimes when they speak, they would laugh, you understand that? So it's been going on for a while, and it makes her feel very less of herself, because most times they're not communicating with her, they're speaking their language and they end up laughing. So gradually it started to affect her self-confidence. They're speaking a language she doesn't understand. She doesn't know what they're talking about, right? And most times they are laughing. So that kind of thing, for me as HR, I don't take things like that very lightly. I had to call the team meeting, and by the time they opened up, they said they were not talking about her in any bad way, that it was just an unconscious thing, and that is why I'm saying that when it comes to diversity, you also don't want to have a team, for instance, that everybody in that team is just one tribe and there's only one person that is from a different tribe. Same thing in a department. When you're hiring, pay attention to gender inequality. Your team should not be filled up with only men, or your team should not be filled up with only women, right? So this thing is something that it is a conscious effort. If you don't make it a conscious effort, you can easily, fall into the trap of being of ignoring these things. So please, HR professionals in your organization, line managers, senior management, ensure that you are paying attention to these details, because just one little thing, can lead to declined productivity. And that's the example of the sales girl I was just talking about. And, by the time I told her team members, this is our policy, don't speak your language. Everyone, our main language is English, and gradually they started to make her feel more relaxed. She came back to tell me, she was like, oh ma, thank you, that you don't know what you have done. That she was at a point where she was almost going to resign, that if I did not notice, and she came to me and also opened up to me, that she would have just silently just dropped her resignation letter, because she felt like she wasn't part of the team at all. So please, in our workplace, let's try and pay attention. We are leaders for a reason. These are things that you need to pay attention to in your work environment. So I'll just move on very quickly so that we can cover all the pages. Equal opportunities for disabilities. Another very, very important part. Disabilities is not only when you are, disabilities doesn't only fall under maybe when you are blind, or when you have one hand, or when you don't have 2 legs. There are a lot of other things that may be disabilities, right? I will take, for instance, okay, some people, might feel during an interview, you see an albino, someone who has albinism, and we know how most people are, right, in Nigeria, how they try to seclude such people. That person may be the most brilliant person. That person may be the most top performer. You don't have to discriminate because someone has albinism. You don't have to discriminate because somebody has 1 leg or has 1 arm. As long as they come for the interview, as long that they have proven themselves that they are able to do the work. If it's not a job that requires you to have two hands, if it's just a job that requires you to have something in your head and to have the experience, then give people the equal opportunities. Then even in the workplace, HR ensuring that the company environment is made in such a way that also makes life easy for people that have disabilities. Wheelchair access, for example, ensuring that even if you have an employee, even if you don't have an employee that is on a wheelchair, for instance, anything can happen in life. What if one of your top performers in future just becomes someone who is now, who now needs support in this, right? Are you going to say because the person is now a wheelchair, you are going to fire the person or you're going to sack the person? No. So let us make that conscious effort to ensure that our organization has that accessibility for everyone. Do not discriminate whether someone has any health challenges, even if you find out someone has, there are subtle ways that you can communicate without making the person feel less of themselves. So the next thing will be monitoring and matrix, the intentional ways that, you can ensure that these things are being, tracked and is being included in your workplace. If we look at workforce demography, right? The workforce demography, HR, we do a lot of reporting, a lot of analysis. When you check your HR reports, the demographic reports, you are able to see the age, you're able to see gender, you're able to see the disability, you're able to see people's status and their ethnic groups, right? So if you
Can you please
was
be
someone
sure
saying
your slide?
something?
I think people are having issues with it. Your slide is not showing anymore. So you need to reshare your screen.
Okay, sorry, hold on.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. 1 minute, please. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, you're back. Thank you. You're back. It's good now.
All right. Thank you very much. So, yeah, so we're talking about, let me move this to the side, sorry. Yeah, so we're talking about intentionality, right? How you can track these things. Workforce demography, HR, you do your monthly reports, you do your weekly reports, you can see the demographics of your team, right? If you're seeing that, for instance, you have 1,000 staffs in your organization, and among all the 1,000 staffs, there's only 10 females. That already says a lot now. Even the way the world has gone, even in specific organizations, like all these manufacturing organizations that always have a lot of technical roles. We have a lot of women in the technical that go to school for these things. We have a lot of women who are as strong as men are, as intelligent as men are. You see in universities, engineering departments, you're seeing ladies coming out with first class. Like, so why don't you give them that opportunity? Don't limit your organization to, because, okay, it's a male-dominated course or is a male-dominated department, then automatically during interviews, you just only want to attend to male, not females. You are shooting yourself in the foot. So please be intentional, right? Ensure that your recruitment matrix, ensure that you have a candidate pool mix of different genders, different ethnic group, and then eradicate bias during your panel session. As HR, it is your duty to speak to the line managers. It is your duty to speak to the recruitment panel, people who are conducting interviews. Let them know when you speak to them about your diversity and inclusion policy. They already don't say, oh, because the HODs will already tell you, is a man, is a male I want for this position. Your question as HR should be, why does it have to be a male? If we don't find a female who is qualified, okay, then that can be a reason why. But as long as we have female who have applied for this role, they will be interviewed and they will be given equal opportunities. So you also should be able to speak in a way that you don't feel intimidated, and you let them know that as HR and as leaders, you know what you're talking about. Career progression. promotion, succession pool, very, very, very important. Don't let people feel like, oh, for you to be promoted in this organization, you have to do something special apart from succeeding on your role. Like there's something else. Like some people will tell you, if you're not the HOD's friend, don't bother, they won't promote you. Or if you're not from the same place as them, you know, the owner of the company is a Muslim. If you're not a Muslim, just forget, you'll be on one position for, those are things that you want to kill. Those are cultures you want to kill instantly in your organization. You don't want those kind of things, you know, going around in your organization. And then equity and compensation. You want to ensure that, you know, everyone has free and fair opportunities in terms of what they are being paid. I'm sure that everyone has, like, these things are being limited based on their genders. You know, very, very important as well. To measure the performance indicators for the DII, the most important thing is the percentage of diversified profiles in your executive leadership team. I would also say that, you know, in some organizations, you will just see that their executive management, all of them are males, no females. What does that tell you about the organization? Does it mean that the male people are a bit intimidated about women who are strong? You find some things like that sometimes, you know. So these are areas where sometimes just looking at some company profile, you can already tell the type of company it is. When you see that out of their management team, they have 20 management staff, and out of the 20 management, 19 are females. Only one is male, then you start to ask yourself, what is the problem? Or you find that the executive management in 19 male, only one is female. Those are the kind of things that you want to pay attention to. Then also periodically, you know, have audits, have do an audit, do pulse surveys, feedbacks. You want to hear from your team, do you understand, on how they feel regarding diversity and inclusion in the workplace. These are things that would help you, you know, in correcting those things. And then the risk of not having diversity and inclusion in your organization, just like I mentioned here, elevated turnover. You have high friction, people feel isolated, and there's lack of visible progression, right? You have a lot of resignations. This month, this person is resigning. That month, this person is resigning. We also talk about damage repetition. This is where your employer brand, we're talking about your employer brand, right? Because people talk, news, and the thing is that bad news even spreads more than good news. Then litigation and violations. You don't also want to, you know, fall into, as an organization, you don't want people suing you for being discriminated and things like that. You don't want to expose yourself to all those kind of things. So I would just like to end this session before taking more questions to say that diversity is being invited to the table. Inclusion is being asked to contribute, and equity ensures that everyone has access to the same opportunity to succeed. Belonging is feeling valued and respected once you are there, right? Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be able to take this session. We'll allow just a few questions because I think we've really run out of time. I see that some people are raising up their hands. So let's just take 2 questions. And after those 2 questions, then we should be able to round up. Thank you very much for everyone who has joined this call. So questions, please, just 2. You have the floor. Does anyone want to speak? Okay.
I think Peter Peace, I see Peter Peace raising their hand. So
Peter Peace. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. I think Tijani Muritala is unmuting as quick as possible.
Okay,
Tijani,
thank you
please go ahead.
Tijani here. More like not really questions, but more like to share my own experience. Innocently, discrimination comes by way of just how you feel about the job, what you need to cover the mileage and all. So there was an interview session that I supposed to also chair, and which happens to be that my departments, you know, are having shortage of staff, so we need to fill in some gaps. So within that period, I lost 3 of my staff who are female on maternity. So I just casually told my managing director that these positions I want, I really want a male, so that the attritions I have, by virtue of maternity leave, it won't affect, the TAT that I need to cover on all. And she, in fact, she asked me to come to her office right
When I call
immediately.
you to put my name for attendance, please come.
So I got to her office, and she was like asking me questions that she really want to know the reason behind me saying that kind of a thing, because she knows that that's not my person. So, and I told her these are the reasons why I said so. 3 of my staff, who are female, are already on maternity. When they come back, they resume 9 o'clock instead of 8, and they close 4 o'clock instead of 5. So that timing for me is really affecting the job deliverables, mileage to cover, the TAT and all. She now told me that, okay, for the purpose of this interview, she will only give consideration for female. So luckily for me, the 3 female I got that time happens to even be the best staff that I will ever even have as far as that department is concerned. So what I'm saying in essence is, yes, we need to speak up to know, okay, these are the reason behind what we are taking some actions. So, and people, at management level, they can also see reason and also guide you properly or appropriately, so that there won't be any miscalculations or any misjudgment as far as those decisions you take is concerned. So I said, let me just share this experience, at least for us to know that talking or speaking out at some point may also, redirect our mindset toward what is right rather than what we feel it is right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, do we want to take any other one
Let's
before
take
we
one
round
more.
up?
Let's take one more.
One more. Okay. You have the floor.
I see 2 hands, Doris Nkechi and Peter, please.
Okay, let's take Doris and Peter, and then that's it. Let's take Doris and Peter, and that's it.
Okay, Doris is up.
Hello.
Doris, please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi,
Go ahead,
Doris.
Doris.
Yeah. Sorry, I'd want you to first off, I want to say thank you for this wonderful lecture you gave us. It's so impactful. And I want to also say, how do you handle a HR that is biased, that is naturally biased? No matter what, you cannot even come and tell her this is what has happened and all that, for her to actually look at this thing from a neutral perspective and handle it accordingly. Before you even finish, she has already made up her mind on what she wants to do. How do you handle such person?
Okay. So for me, when it comes to a point now that you're saying the HR is biased, right?
Yeah.
You have to, the HR reports to someone, right?
Yeah.
In most organizations, the HR reports to the MD. And if the culture of the organization is good, if HR themselves has preached and promoted an open door policy, then you should have access to the MD's office. You should have access to the MD's office. The HR, and like I said, HR is not a power of their own. The HR reports to someone. If you get to a point where you are feeling like your HR is just unbearable or unthinkable, you're a staff. Your mental health is important. Reach out to those who the HR reports to. Or you have surveys. I'm sure they do. You will have pulse surveys, but the thing is that if you do the survey, it's coming to the HR, right? If you're already saying that the HR is biased, meaning that by the time you even fill the survey is coming back to that HR that you're talking about, and that person will just probably swing it to one side. Just reach out to other strong HODs that can help you speak, or you reach out to who the HR reports to. That's the only advice I can give you. If you have tried all possible, if you have spoken to the person one-on-one. Another thing is that, people sometimes can be misinterpreted. You might see someone and the person just looks like, oh, a no-nonsense person, and it might just make you shield a bit. You might be surprised that if you go and tell them, oh, you want to have a conversation with them, and you share how you feel with the person, you will be, completely surprised that she might even accept that, oh, she didn't know or he didn't know that, they behave this way, and they might take to to the corrections that you're making. But if it gets to a point where you are not able to do any of that, please just reach out to who the HR reports to. I'm sure the MD has an email. I'm sure your organization would operate open door. Just reach out to who they reports to. It's as simple as that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Peter Peace, are you available? We're just taking one more. Peter Peace.
Yeah, Peace is the last person. So, Mr. Peace, please go ahead.
Okay, so if Peter Peace is not going ahead, I think let's just replace him with one more person.
Okay. Hello? Hello.
Okay, go ahead, Honor.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for this section. I actually look forward for this workshop. Okay, is a question. What do you do, or how do you handle when the employers insist on specific, can I say, specific people to employ into the company? Like, tell you the tribe, discriminate some tribe, discriminate against no earring, no male that puts on earring, that wears dread, and so forth. What do you do about this?
Okay, so I think your question is very similar to what somebody else has asked before, right? And I say something. Unfortunately, we're in a country where we have a lot of this happening, right? Stick by what is right. If as HR you have people who companies who they employ HR, they want HR to come and make a change, right? But when the HR comes, right, and is trying to make these changes, they are the ones even making things difficult for the HR to make these changes. For me, it's very important. Stick with what is right. You know that your HR profession does not preach that you should discriminate according to gender, according to age, according to, whatever it is, right? Try and make them understand it. If you have tried everything possible, you see that they don't understand it. For me, I don't know about other people, but I'm not able to function in an environment like that. And like I said, I didn't get to HR by just playing. I spent a lot of money going to school. I spent a lot of money, ensuring that I'm well grounded in this profession. So I have a name to protect. I have integrity to protect. If you've tried all you can to help an organization, in doing things the right way, and you see that it's not forthcoming, please do yourself a favor. There are other organizations who are looking for qualified professionals like yourself. Trust me, if you know your onions, I'm sure you'll get something else. So that's the only advice that I can give in a situation like this. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We want to say, can we all on the chat box say thank you to our esteemed Madam Zainab, who has taken us through this wonderful, wonderful session tonight. Please let the thank you just keeps rolling in. Let her know that we love her. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Every bit of this session was enjoyable. I mean, very, very impactful. We're grateful to have you speak to us, and we will have you again very, very soon. And just to, as we begin to round up, I want to just mention, so please, for those of us who are asking for the attendance, just go on the chat box. Is there, the attendance link is there. If you're having any issue, it might be network. So just
we
keep
are not able to fill it in. Same thing yesterday and today, sir.
so I think it might be network. It might
So we
be a
have
network.
we have people filling the
I
form. So
just
for those that
feel
cannot fill
I
the
just
form,
feel the
kindly check your
attendance. So
internet
please check your
connection.
chat.
Attendance is there. I just
Yeah,
Okay,
checked
sir.
mine too. The
I
attendance
missed
is there.
yesterday's
Check your
attendance. I
internet
couldn't fill
connection.
in for
Please,
Okay, so
yesterday.
two things
But
you
today
want
I
to
booked.
do.
Ma, please,
Two
can
things
we
you,
get your LinkedIn or your Instagram page so we can follow you up?
yes, please go ahead, Madam Zainab.
Even your number,
Okay,
please.
so okay, so my
Now, Zainab,
LinkedIn
we need
is
to connect with you. We want to
my
connect
LinkedIn is
with you,
Zainab
please.
Obaro. Yes,
Okay, so our LinkedIn is
yes,
Zainab Obaro. So
Zainab Obaro, I
Obaro.
just
So
followed
you can
you.
just follow me on LinkedIn, and you can send me a message. If you send me a message, I would I will drop my number if you send me a message.
Thank you.
I'll drop my number for you
yes,
personally. So just to
yes, Zainab
round
Obaro.
up, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Okay,
very
so
much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having
yes,
me.
thank you
Thank
so much, my
you,
lord.
Madam
It's very, very
Zainab. Thank
impactful.
you for having
Yes,
us.
you're going to have the slides for those asking for the slides. Definitely, you're going to have the slides.
Yes.
We'll discuss with how you're going to have the slides, and then also this Zoom meeting is being recorded. So for some of us who can play back
Thank you,
and
Madam
listen
Zainab. God bless
and
you.
over again. Yes, thank you.
Amen.
Please, what
So
about
I will say my
yesterday's
final
attendance?
word. Sorry.
Yes,
My
please go
final
ahead,
word
madam.
to everyone who is on this call. If you're a HR professional on your this call, right? Take this sentence away. As HR professional, always stand with what is right and not what is popular. Stand with what is right and what
Stand
not
with
is
what is
popular.
right
Be
and not what.
bold, never be intimidated, stick to what you know is right. If you do this, you'll go a very long way. It's better for you to be known as someone who stands for what is right than for you to be referred to as a HR who you can just throw things at anyhow, right? So don't be intimidated. Once you're HR, you're there for a reason, right? You might think that it's hard at the beginning. To be honest, being HR is not easy. Everyone just brings things to you. They expect that, you're a magician, right? But the most important thing, you would always win, no matter what the situation is, when you stand by what is right. You'll get to a point where even those that are pushing things at you, when they see that this person is someone who does not bend their ways, unknowingly they'll start to align with you, right? So thank you very much once again, everyone, and God bless you. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Zainab. It was a
Yeah, please,
pleasure.
what of
Thank you,
yesterday's
everyone.
attendance, please?
Don't worry about don't worry. Just feel today. Maybe you are here today. Don't worry.
Yes, I was there yesterday too.
Don't worry. As long as you feel one day, you're covered. You're covered.
Okay, thank you.
Once you feel today, you're covered. And also,
Thank
before we
you,
leave,
ma'am.
if you're an HR
Thank you,
professional,
ma'am.
yes, thank you, thank you. So, for us,
Thank you,
before we
Madam
leave,
Zainab.
Please upload the attendance again, please.
okay, they will. Don't worry. We're not going
Thank
to
you.
lock. We're not going to lock this immediately. You understand? So that those who want to take their time can also do that. But also, I wanted to
Okay, thank
say,
you, sir.
for HR, yes, for HR professionals who are here, I don't know if you know, there's something happening in August between 6th and 7th. If you know what it is, just
Thank
type
you,
it in the
sir.
chat box. If you know, I want to be sure some people know. If you know what is happening August 6th and 7th, let me see who knows about it. August 6th and 7th.
We all know.
Okay, someone said induction. Okay, someone said conference. Okay, our conference, annual conference. Yes, thank you. The CIHRM conference is coming up in Abuja, 6th and 7th of August. You don't want to miss it. Please, the registration links also would have been in your mail. Please register early, then be part of this. Some of the questions that you have also will be answered on that day. You understand? There's a lot of questions going on about CIHRM, about the HR profession. Please just make sure that you're part of this conference. Wow. A lot of people. Conference, Abuja, conference. Yes, annual conference, Abuja, and induction, CIHRM National conference. This is good. It's good to know that we are all abreast of what is happening. So please be a part of the conference. The slides are being shared on our groups. And then I'm sure also if you feel the attendance, you're going to get the slides in your email. So please be patient. Don't worry. We're not in a hurry. They are going to drop the link again for everyone to make sure that you feel at least by 10 between the next 5 minutes. Wow. Yes. At Merit House, Abuja. Thank you. Thank you. Don't worry. Just make sure you feel today. Once you feel today, you're covered. For those asking what about yesterday's attendance, once you feel today, you are covered. Once you make sure that you're feeling today, you are covered. Once again, we want to say thank you to everyone. Okay. See, if the attendance link is not opening, please copy it out into your browser. Either use a Google Chrome. Just copy it out into another browser. Your Google browser, it should open there. Sometimes there are browsers who will not allow you open it, but it's gonna open. Or check your network. Check the network. Check the network. Check the network. Please check the network. Sam, can we drop that link one more time? If you click on it from this link, if your browser is a Google Chrome, it should open. And there are a lot of people who have filled it today. Okay, so what about someone is asking, what about the certificate? For those of us who paid for the certificate, it will also be delivered to your mail. It will also be delivered to your mail. And peradventure, you want to pay for the certificate, please reach out to any of the admin, and then they will get you to do that. I think this certificate, for those who need, so please note the certificate is not, it's optional. For those who want it, the certificate of participation, I think it's 15,000. Sam, am I right about that? Are you still here? Sam, are you still on the call?
Oh, yes, I've been trying to mute because I was not a host. So yes, the certificate of participation is 15,000 naira. I've dropped the link for the registration or payment for the certificate of participation. It's also on the chat box now, as well as the attendance form as well. So for those that filled today, if you didn't fill yesterday, you are covered. Also, if you cannot access the link, please check your internet connection or try a different browser. The link is working very much. And if it's not coming up, try refreshing your internet or using another browser. Thank you very much.
Okay, so
excuse me,
okay,
please.
Yes, go ahead.
Is the certificate in hard copy or soft copy?
It's going to be in soft copy. It's going to be sent to your mail. It's soft copy.
Okay.
Please, can we do the payment now for those of us that have not paid?
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
You can. Just reach out. I think will. Yes, you can. You can. So what you want to do is this. Please make sure that once you pay, look for the admin on the group where you are and send them the receipt, so that they can queue you in for it. So please, I think the registration link for the conference is also been okay. I think this is for payment for you can use any of this link to also pay for the certificate. Yes, you can use any of this to pay for it, and it will be sent to your email. So I see a question someone asks, is this no, it's not free for members. This is free for members to attend. It's 15,000 and it's optional. Please, we're saying it is optional. It's not compulsory. It's not something that you must, that if you don't do it, no, it's not. So yes, the account details will be shared on the platforms also. Yes, it will be. We'll make sure that that is done. The account details will be shared on the platform. Yes, there's still annual subscription. Yes, there is annual subscription. If you have not paid for your all these details will be shared on our platform for those who, okay, what about the link for day one? Don't worry, just make sure you fill the attendance for today. You will have all the materials that you needed, day one and day two. You will have all the materials that you need. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure anchoring this with you. We want to say a very good night. Thank you, and we're going to see you at the CIHRM National Conference. Okay, but please, next time, the management should reduce the certificate cost for members. It will be highly appreciated, noted, and it will be taken. We'll make sure that we pass that down, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your patience, and tonight has been wonderful. Thank you, and have a great night, everyone. God bless you. Thank you.